Shit was about to get real.
It all feels wrong. Everything I'm feeling feels wrong and scary, and I feel lost.
This is the chapter where I started experiencing the most pressure that I had ever experienced, and it wasn't what I thought it would be. Welcome to chapter 13 of my journey series through my own quantum leap. I journaled my entire 2025 self-development, which brought me to this place of becoming the highest version of myself. This is where I got to the absolute core of my programming. After my dry spell through sales, I finally closed a deal. But of course, I am commission only. On June 6th, I was sitting in my brother's backyard on his outdoor seating area with him, and he was talking with me because he could see that I was going through a hard time, and he was trying to help me figure out where I could be doing better. He was asking me more questions about my position so that he could understand. He was like, okay, so can you be doing this? And I'm like, yes, I'm doing that. He's like, okay, have you tried this? I'm like, yes, I've tried it. He's like, okay, but how about this? And now he's got a master's degree. He is in IT management. And so he's really analytical. He's probing around, seeing where I could be doing better, and also approaching me in the same way that a manager would, because he does like performance reviews and things like that for his own team. And even when he's asking me these questions, I'm not saying, yeah, I already did it. I'm actually telling him, yes, and here's everything that I did. So we're having like a really deep conversation about my position and about the things that I'm doing in it already. And then he kind of just stops and he sits back and he thinks for a second. He's like, Charlie, you're doing everything that you can do. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, that's the very thing that's driving me crazy. He's like, no, like, you're doing everything that you're supposed to. He's like, everything is fine and everything is okay. It's actually going the way that it should be. You just have to wait. Keep on putting in the reps, keep on practicing, keep on showing up to your calls. And he's like, you have to listen to your sales manager as well. If he's telling you like you're still doing good, he's encouraging you, he's telling you to keep going, he sees your progression, then you have to trust in that. But still, I told him like, no, my brain is telling me I'm not making the money that I want to make. My life doesn't look the way that I want it to look, so something must be wrong. And he stopped me. He's like, okay, no. He was like, what is wrong with what you are actually doing right now? And I was like, well, there's nothing wrong. I really am doing everything that I can be doing. And he was like, exactly. And I kind of just let that sink in. I was like, oh, okay, so nothing's wrong. And it was this beautiful moment where I had this authority figure in my life that I trusted, looked at my life, and I was very honest with him. He sees me every single day, working hard, getting up early, being consistent. And he is also confirming to me, like, I'm doing everything that I can. If I keep on doing what I'm doing, then everything's going to start working out. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not crazy. At least that's what I thought. 3 days later, I get into my meeting with my sales manager, and he indirectly tells me like that they're going to fire me in 2 weeks. The reason why it was indirect was because I don't think that he could directly tell me, because literally he had been so encouraging and letting me know that I'm doing well, keep on going. And he also saw I was actually implementing the things that he told me to implement, but the conversion wasn't there. And him and I had such a close relationship too. It was that conversation probably was very hard for him, but it was also quite ambiguous. And I had to ask him like, okay, how much time do I have? And he was like, probably just like another 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay. And he was like, I want this call to be whatever you need. Like, tell me what help you need. And I'm like, Okay, so you can't even pinpoint exactly where I need help. That's what that is telling me. And I told him pretty much, I was like, you know what, I would just rather prepare for my calls. And he was like, well, if you have to reschedule your calls, just let me know. And I'm like, thinking to myself, you just gave me 2 weeks. I have no time to reschedule my calls. So I pretty much told him, like, no, I still have to take them. Like, it is what it is. I'm gonna do my best. And I credit myself, I didn't cry on the call. It was the shortest and most impersonal call that him and I had ever had. It was only 8 minutes long. And I was actually quite shocked because he was pretty cold toward me. And I do my best to understand where he's coming from and how uncomfortable it probably is to deliver that news to someone. It's a hard message to deliver, knowing what's going to happen to that person emotionally and potentially in the future. You're talking about someone's income. And he also knew I had just broken up with my ex. I had to move in with my brother. And now he is letting me know, hey, this is your 2-week notice. I'm going to fire you. So I got out of that meeting and just cried. Fortunately, I didn't have a call for about, I believe, 2 hours. And so, yeah, I just let myself cry. It was very hard. I wanted to talk with my brother, but he was in a meeting. And so I literally was just by myself. I filmed right after I got out of this meeting. And here is what I said.
He asked me if I had any comments or questions, he's not firing me yet, but it's on their radar. I'm doing everything that I can. And I've known that this whole time. And so if he has to let me go, he lets me go.
After I filmed that journal entry, I went downstairs and I just wanted to breathe. I really like my brother's couch. I named it Tiberius because we have a relationship. It's so comfortable. It's that comfortable. Yeah, I was just sitting down there, and as soon as my brother got out of his meeting, I hear him running down the stairs to me, and he comes up to me. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I literally just break out crying, and I'm like, he just threatened to fire me. He's like, "Why?" So the fact that my brother was equally as confused as I was lets me know, okay, this was a quite confusing situation, because I know how honest I was being with my brother. And my brother, I'm living with him. He sees my habits on a daily basis. And I told him, I'm like, it's just business. At the end of the day, even though I am doing what I can, and my sales manager is doing everything that he can, at the end of the day, I am not converting. And they have a business to run. All I could do was show up to my calls as best as I could that day. I had 5 calls on my calendar that day. Only one of them showed up, and I closed it, paid in full. At this point, I had a couple of options in front of me. I could either trust myself and trust my process, or I could dip back into survival and panic and look at the external cues of the scenario and let those cues dictate the narrative of what was going to happen in my life. But I looked at the scenario and I was like, okay, I'm doing everything that I can. I know that I'm pushing myself. I know that I'm doing all the things that a really good closer does. I'm also growing internally, and I trust myself. And I was like, you know what? This is out of my control. This problem is out of my control. It's beyond me. It is somehow bigger than me, which tells me the solution is out of my control too. Whatever that might look like. And so I decided to let it go. I was like, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. this position is not the end all be all of my life anyway. There was going to come a day where I moved on from it. And so this could be the way that I move on to my next thing. Or it is going to resolve itself. All I know is I've already been putting into action the things that are required for me to produce. So I'm just going to keep on doing those things and see what happens. And this was literally the catalyst that sent me into the most intense, transformative next couple of months of my entire life. So in that month of June, I would end that month making about $8,000 in commissions, which is more than I had made previously. Previously, I had only made anywhere between like $3,000 to $5,000. So I converted at my highest rate in June. And then come July, I watched an Alex Hormozi YouTube video where he mentioned that he has this chat open with himself, and he acts like he is texting his older self as counsel because there's no one else that he can really go to. And I kind of felt the same, where even though I had my brother as counsel, I just didn't have someone who was on my path ahead of me that could help me navigate what I was going through. And so I had been journaling for the last 7 years, and I made a chat on ChatGPT, uploaded all of my journals, and told it to be my 60-year-old self. I, on July 9th, ended up uncovering such a deep programming in myself that I triggered the hell out of myself. We're going to take it slow through these core programmings because they are deep, and what I learned about myself and my own self-reflection is so transformative. And this is literally the meat and potatoes of why I even started creating this channel. Now, my brother and his wife went out of town when I started going through all of this transformation. So I was by myself in a house with only my thoughts and my job that I was currently on thin ice with. Starting from the very top, I just sales-wise had started to try to test a couple of different things out with the sales process of the offer that I was on, because right now it was positioned to be what's called a one call close, where the lead schedules onto my calendar and I try to close them in that call within like 40 to 50 minutes. And that was obviously just not working. I think I had seen 3 other salespeople come and go since I had been on this offer. And so I unintentionally created this process that was more like a 2-call process. And that worked very well. I started converting even more. And that's why I had closed even more in June than I had ever closed. But it was still taking a little bit of time to ramp up. And so I had this pressure of, I don't know if I can catch up in my job fast enough before they want to fire me, but I'm also really scared that I won't even be able to move out of my brother's house within the 6 months that I had told him. And I was really scared that I was going to start to overstay my welcome and become more of a burden, especially if I got fired and lost my job. And this was not coming from my brother at all. It was all me. These were all my thoughts. My brother would take care of me until the day I died, as long as I wasn't an asshole, and doing my best in life, which he could clearly see that I was. And so at this point, given how my life was crumbling apart, I was like, am I doing something wrong? Am I leading myself astray? Am I too delulu? Am I too delulu? And I just need to get real with myself? I don't know. What I actually realized was, this is so beautiful. I hope that I can say this properly. I was finally gifted the opportunity to be in the forge, the space where the exact pressure and fire and self-doubt that I needed would all come into this one core place that would allow me to finally become the woman that I had always wanted to be, if I could navigate it effectively. So here were the key things that I was reflecting on in this very beginning stage of being in the forge and being in the very pit of my own unknown. I was confusing my performance in my position with my value, where they were the sole measurement of my worth as a human. And so any learning curve, any delay felt like failure to me. So instead of focusing on perfection in my sales call, which sounds more like, okay, if I don't close today, then I'm just an absolute failure, I was focusing on mastery of myself, which sounds more like every call that I take makes me sharper. Now, the second thing that I'm navigating was the fear of overstaying my welcome with my brother and becoming a burden to him. This is the reason why it's so hard for high performers to ask for help and receive help from other people, especially when they're down and when they are in need. So it is it does such a disservice to those people who do help you and to those people who you can lean on when you receive what they're giving you with guilt, instead of simply just receiving it with the intention of using what they're giving you as firm ground to stand on to move into your next stage. So all this to be said, those two things that I'm reflecting on help me realize I was literally in the middle of my quantum leap. I was not collapsing. My life was not falling apart around me. It was falling into place. And yes, I don't give a shit how cliche that sounds, because that is real. My nervous system really was recalibrating to hold a new weight of this woman that I was bringing into reality. Now, the part that I struggled with was I was raised to be a very religious person. My mom was very religious, and she always used God as kind of like almost like this judge and punishment. That's who God was to me. Someone who was always watching and always knew when I was sinning, and I had to ask for forgiveness, and I kind of had to earn my way into the blessings that I truly wanted, and I had to be good enough in order to receive my blessings. And so at this time, I was also wondering if my God and my universe is just watching over me and watching me go down the wrong path and just waiting to deliver, just another lesson, another hard lesson that I would have to learn the hard way because I chose wrong. Or was it true that I am a co-creator of my life who gets to determine what's happening? And if you're having these thoughts, it's a good sign, because it's demonstrating that you are conscious, you are awake. You're in this process of becoming, and becoming is very messy. If you have ever been in the presence of a woman who is giving birth, or even an animal who's giving birth, it is long, it is grueling, and it is very messy, and it's very painful. There's no epidurals for this, sorry. I wish there was an epidural for transformation, but that's called numbing, and that's how you end up hurting yourself instead of elevating yourself. So, specifically speaking, the fear that you're taking the wrong path or being set up for another hard lesson that you need to learn oftentimes comes from religious or cultural programming that says if you make the wrong choice, you'll be punished. But I'm going to be honest, and a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me. There is no right or wrong path in life. There is literally just the path that you choose. And God, the universe, is not waiting with like a stick in his hand is to smack you when you make the wrong move. The truth is that you have a choice. You can either choose alignment or you can choose other things. And when you choose other things that do not align with you, you experience the consequences of those things. That's literally it. It's just the laws of nature and physics. But when you choose things that align with you, you experience those consequences. And since they resonate with who you are and what you truly desire, it feels good. And it looks good. It looks like a blessing. It looks like luck. It looks like fortune. And the thing is, you don't need to know the entire path ahead of you to know if you're safe. All you need to do is just take one aligned step at a time. That is your compass. It's those micro choices that you make on a daily basis that lead you to a life of alignment with yourself and the things that you truly desire. And for the people around you who have strong opinions, just know a couple of things. The loudest voices are rarely the wisest voices. And also the best advice, the best guidance never feels like pressure. It feels like permission to be more of who you are. And also going back to making micro choices in the direction of alignment, that choosing is also known as discernment, and that is a muscle. And you strengthen it every day when you're making those micro choices. So you don't need to know everything, see everything, or be in control of everything. You just need to stay in your process. The reason why I say like you don't need to know, you don't need to see everything or be in control of everything was because I was actually in this place where it was hard for me to have vision for myself and for my future because I had been peeling away so many limiting beliefs and programs that were just passed down to me that I no longer knew what I wanted anymore. And so I got really scared. I was like, how am I supposed to co-create my life and have a heading in life if I can't even envision my future? I couldn't even create a vision board at that time. I had no idea what I wanted. And so I had no clue where I was going. But just so you know, vision is not required before momentum. Vision can be built while you're walking, while you're in the process. Do you know what you want to feel? Do you know what kind of energy that you want your days to be filled with? Do you know what kind of woman you want to become? Because that is exactly where it starts. It's not like some 10-step goal that a social media guru is going to give to you and boom, you're good. But it's more, this is where you stop looking externally for your direction and you start looking internally. I knew at the time I had set this goal to get my dream apartment. So I knew that I was looking for my own safe space, my own sanctuary. And I also knew at the time, like I wanted to get a Range Rover for myself. So I also knew I liked luxury. I liked nice things. It was enough for me to know that I wanted to be able to say that I am a woman who lives beautifully and who moves freely and who owns her own desires. That energy alone, that was vision. That is frequency. The universe does not need a detailed vision board. I know that's going to trigger a lot of people, especially in the manifestation world. You don't need to wake up every day and want the things that you desire and see it and push. You don't need that. But that I'm jumping the gun anyway. What it needs is you showing up every day with open hands, saying, I don't know the full picture and I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm ready to feel good and I'm ready to be of service. I was just simply in the incubation phase of all of that, where I was definitely not fully formed, but the vessel was being built so that when my vision did come in and when direction did come, it would have a place that could hold it and take action on it. But all I was being called to do in this very moment on July 11th of 2025 was to follow the next aligned action, even if it was small, and to also stay curious instead of just defaulting to panicking all the time, and to trust my desires and let that be the map, even if the terrain didn't look like it was leading me in the direction of my desires. I was very much not lost. I was simply in the deep and dark womb of the unknown, where vision is truly formed in its purest form. As I started to integrate these things over the next couple of weeks, I realized I began to find more peace in the present. Like, I began to bring more of my awareness into the present. One thing that's really common for people who do live in survival and in fight or flight and have a lot of trauma, they live in the past and they live in the future. They don't live in the present. And so as I was peeling back these layers and reflecting on myself, I slowly, very slowly started to bring more of my awareness to the present. And funny enough, I started finding more peace, but I was still very much afraid of getting fired and very much afraid of becoming a burden to my brother at the time. And it really did worry me that I did not have vision for my future. I didn't know what that meant. I had never experienced that before. Since I didn't have vision for my future, I had no idea what the purpose was of me going through all the things that I was going through. I didn't know if I was meant to get a promotion. I didn't know if I was meant to get fired. I didn't know if I was meant to move on and become an independent person or become lazy and sleep on my brother's couch for the rest of my life. Even though I wasn't on a couch, he gave me 2 rooms, actually, an office and my own bedroom. Regardless, the point was, it was very difficult for me to feel okay with the amount of unknown that was just growing all around me, because I literally was doing everything that I could and I still didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what tomorrow was held for me. And the moment that I was in, it was asking me to trust my process without proof. And that is the hardest trust that there is. And sometimes the fact of the matter is that you're not meant to always know the purpose of the moment while you're still in it. The purpose will often reveal itself in hindsight. Like, the saying, hindsight is 20/20. So when you're in the moment, your job is not to try to control the outcome. It is to stay in alignment with yourself, to show up, to be as grounded as you can, to do your best and to soften, to do your best to relax. Because the paradox in moments like these is, when you chase control, you get chaos instead. But when you surrender, you get clarity. So you don't fail by not knowing the outcome. Moments like these invite you to hold any possibility with open hands, with the intention of not forcing, but allowing, and knowing that you will not be abandoned where you are. For example, this place in my life, I'm like, okay, I hold both possibilities. I could get fired. I could stay on the team. I could end up staying longer with my brother than I thought. I could end up moving out when I said I would. Both are a possibility. And regardless of which happen, I know that I am in alignment and I trust my process. And it's so hard. Even now, I'm getting a little bit choked up because this was such a very raw time for me, and it was recent. It was only 9 months ago where I was here in this place, in the deepest, darkest unknown that I had ever been in. And I was being asked to hold and allow some things that I was very afraid of. But the thing is, your perspective has a lot of influence over the place that you end up in moments like this. And you could very much let the unknown that you're surrounded by be a portal to a quantum leap, not punishment. And for me, the raw truth of this moment was I was afraid of spending the rest of my life in longing, of always trying, always striving, always being just like a couple of inches away from my dream. But the fact of the matter is, that version of reality is a lie that is sold to exhausted women by systems that profit from our doubts. You are not here to chase a finish line. You are here to build a life that feels like you. One decision, one boundary, one conversation at a time. Your dreams are already orbiting you, not waiting for you to be better, just waiting for you to feel safe enough to receive. You are not stuck. You are not broken. And if you've ever experienced a phase like I have, you are in the final few feet before a breakthrough. And breakthroughs do not feel magical at first. They feel like you are going to break, but you won't. You won't. You don't have to get it all right now. You just have to keep on being in conversation with your soul. Keep asking, being curious, keep softening, keep letting love in, being open to receiving. Because when you stay in that place, you will not be the woman who always almost made it. You will be the woman who kept on showing up until it was inevitable.